Hello and welcome to another edition of the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show, where this week we are going to do, unfortunately, didn't have a guest lined up for this week, but we will certainly get one in the coming weeks here as we head into spring ball here. Please excuse my daughter in the background coughing there, but we will head into spring ball. We'll have some good guests lined up for this evening. We are going to do a little Glazier Clinic review. We're going to do, our coaching staff was at the Glazier Clinic Vegas in February. This episode won't come out till towards the end of April, but there were some good speakers there and wanted to get a chance to do a quick review of some of the topics and some of the things we saw. Not going to be a super long episode. We'll get this one done in about 30 minutes, but I think there's some good information there. As always is the case, lots of great clinics, and I know there's some outstanding clinics going on across the country where they kind of dive into a topic head first. Into the Gun T clinics out there I've heard are phenomenal. There's a 425 clinic going on with Joe Daniel and some people. But all those are, I'm sure, fantastic. I've also always really enjoyed the Glazier clinics. I know there's kind of a variety of speakers, and I think anytime you've been doing this for a long time, I think you have to be able to understand you kind of have your system. I remember being a young coach and I'd go to a clinic and I liked everything so much I wouldn't be able to pick and choose things that we would use. So I think being a little bit more of a veteran, you kind of try to go into a clinic and maybe take one or two things that you can use that can help better your program in whatever way you can do that. And I personally have found Glazier Clinics always has some really, really, really outstanding speakers, and definitely even a couple just little coaching terms I got at this clinic were really, really valuable, some terms that I had not heard. And I'll tell you what, the great part about this game is you're always learning. We've had some seasons we've been pretty good. We've had some seasons I haven't been as good. And I think it's important as a coach to always learn and try to grow yourself and grow your profession. And what a blessing it is that we get to be in a profession where we're constantly seeking knowledge and enjoying that. There's a lot of people that don't get that luxury as we do. So going to dive into it in a second, but want to take just a moment to remind everybody the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show is brought to you by School Funder. School Funder, the only online fundraising company in America that lets you keep all of the money your team raises. Why do coaches all across the country willingly give away 20% or more of their proceeds when they don't have to? Call the good people at School Funder at schoolfundr.org. Let them know the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show sent you, as it'll help the show. While you're helping the show, we're slowly ticking up there on the subscribers. Really pleased with our viewership. Lots of good feedback from people. People seem to be enjoying the content. Really, really would appreciate it. Right now, just go hit subscribe. You're not going to get spam. You're not going to get emails from me. I'm not going to send you anything. All it's going to do is give you access to all of the free content we release, and we always release at least one episode on Wednesdays. If I don't always have a guest lined up, I'll hop on, and you can listen to me about various topics that we'll talk about there. But like I said, good product, I think, and it's not really a product because it's free. And our only goal of this show is to try and reach as many young coaches as possible, as many coaches as possible, and to give them a free resource in trying to better their coaching. And as we head into spring ball, and before you know it, I'm telling you, it's amazing how fast everything goes. Before you know it, we will be in the midst of the 2026 season, and it'll come quickly. All right, so gonna hop over here, and before I dive into some of the stuff I put on Huddle there, I always put the kind of my notes. I have my Rocket book that my wife got me there that I put all my notes in at clinics, and then it automatically saves, and then I put it on Huddle here so we can go through some of the notes and talk about some of the things from the clinic. But one of the first guys we saw with some of our defensive coaches was tackling technique and circuit. And a lot of people out there run tackling circuits. There's a lot of good tackling circuits out there. I'm sure a lot of you guys listening have tackling circuits you use. I thought a lot of the drills that Coach Eric Brown from Cal Poly was using really, 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 really good. Some of the things he emphasized, stuff all you guys are emphasizing, but the way he taught it was really, really detailed and really good. Strike zone emphasis, big emphasis on hitting in the strike zone, as you want to be right in here in this area, from here to right down here. And the biggest thing, and the only reason I share even some of the information, because I don't have any diagrams of some of the drills he was doing, I'll kind of talk you through them a little bit. But one of the terms he used that I absolutely loved, and I have not heard before, and I'm sure some of you have heard it: kill the engine. What's the engine for the ball carrier? The engine for the ball carrier is those legs. You kill those legs, you're going to have a heck of a chance of stopping them ball carrier cold like that. So I thought that was a key term. The other thing I loved is he talked about at the college level being able to get quality reps in the tag off. He talked about tagging off. If you're just tagging, it's not doing you any good. All right. But if you're tagging, and he emphasized the heck out of this: 2 eyes, 2 hands to the hips. 2 eyes, 2 hands to the hips. 2 eyes, 2 hands to the hips. All that stuff you can be doing in January, February, March, April, in all your spring ball stuff. You can even do it during the season because it's not getting you beat up, and I thought it was really, really good stuff there. Kill the engine, 2 eyes, 2 hands on the tag off. Really good little coaching points. And like I said, when I go into clinics, I don't always go into stuff looking to reinvent the wheel. I like the way we generally do things in terms of how we're preparing and our practice plans and things of that nature. But anytime I can get just a little nugget like that, like kill the engine and 2 eyes, 2 hips, 2 eyes, 2 hands to 2 hips is, I think, valuable stuff. Some of the drills they did, and a lot of these were with bags, kind of your eye opener through the bag, I thought was really, really good. Cutting them in half, near foot, near shoulder, talking all those type of things. Went through some gator rolls with the bags. Also talked extensively about the use of the crash mat. If you don't have a crash mat, you can use different pads you have out there. But that crash mat is really, really valuable because guys are going to get a high quality tackling rep, and you're not going to get beat up. You're not going to be getting injuries and those type of things. I love the crash mat. 2-on-1 vice tackle, another good one. Lots of really, really good stuff. I was super impressed with Coach Eric Brown from Cal Poly and some of the stuff he talked about within his tackling circuit. And like I said, the biggest little points and it's stuff that we've used. I've never used. Maybe I'm just a terrible coach, but I've never talked about kill the engine, kill the engine, kill the engine. That was one of the first things we did. We started talking to our guys about, hey, kill the engine. What are we talking about when we say kill the engine? We want to stop those legs. I thought that was a really good coaching point there. All right, hopping into it here, folks. Going to first go through, saw a gentleman, Barkley Christensen from San Juan, Utah. Some of you that have watched the show know I like the great Coach Tatum and some others. I'm a big counter guy. So anytime there's somebody going to talk counter, ways to protect counter, little RPOs, different things off a counter, some of that screen game you saw get really, really popular this season off a counter. I'm probably going to be checking that out. So I enjoyed some of the stuff he did. I'm going to hop on here. And like I said, this is not going to be a super long episode, but they did some really cool stuff in their split back game here, GT counter here, against an even split, what I would call an even split here. They're reading this guy right here, and you're going to see they had some other stuff RPO-wise where in this split back stuff they had this guy blocking here so they could do some other stuff in the RPO game. But here, we're right here. Quarterback's catching the football. We're reading here. He chases. He can get the ball right in here on that little slip screen. Whether these guys are going down the field is really irrelevant because this thing gets caught at or near the line of scrimmage. This is one, and like I said, we were able to do a little of this on our slip screen. Some of it didn't work out as well. I need definitely to get some better coaching points on getting into the flat and releasing and not running into this guy. There were definitely a few times this year I think I didn't give them good enough coaching cues, and we ended up running into this defensive end here. But sneaking out into the flat, okay, he comes up the field right here. You can still sneak underneath, but in that case, you're probably going to be handing the ball off on your just standard GT counter, which obviously saw some film on San Juan, Utah, and talked to a couple coaches from Bradshaw Mountain who played San Juan, Utah, who has won, I believe, multiple state championships there in Utah, and they played them in the finals of a 7-on-7 tournament, just talking about the incredible intensity of their team. And you can really see it on film. Their guys play with a lot of passion, a lot of energy. Thought this was a cool one. You know, this is one we've used. None of this stuff is necessarily revolutionary, but it's all in the details, in the execution here. All right, in the execution here. And again, anything that you can do to protect your base runs. If you have the ability to protect your base runs, I think it really makes you a lot more dangerous. I thought this was a cool little RPO action that they had out of it. All right, going on to the next one. I just drew this up. This is just bash, okay? GT counter bash, but the thing I loved about it is out of this set. I thought this was a really cool set. Everybody loves their nub trips. Got the tailback, and we tell them, like I said, we got that from Ferris State, which I've talked about before on the show. We're going to, what we call run the 200 or give ground. We'll have a coach out here when we're drilling this, and we tell the tailback he's got to get a and get out here. We want to get out here. These guys are not making their living tackling. They're not on the field to tackle at the high school level or really any level, okay? Those corners are out there to cover. They're coverage type guys. So you get this nub trip set. If you get a 3-on-2, this guy chases the heel line. We're giving the ball to the tailback, and he's going to bow this out here and try to get on the edge here. You got GT counter with an arc call. That's what we call it. You can use whatever you want. If you feel like defensive end's picking up on it, you call it. I've seen some people call it Noah for Noah's Ark. But we're going to step this guy out, sets up that trap block from your guard, pull kick, pull wrap, nice and tight to the rump line. Get our good combo here. Gap down backer or gap down buddy if you prefer here. Pull kick, pull wrap, leading up. Just GT bash, like I said. Not something that you haven't seen out there, but I liked the way they did a good job, I thought, formationally doing it, and this was a cool set there that they utilized it in. All right. Last one on here, double slants. I can still hear Ron Wisniewski, who I worked with at Red Mountain, always talking about this is how we ran the double slants. This was almost like a one-step slant if it was too high and he was trying to get here in the seam. That second slant was really more like a 5-yard in route here. All right. What I liked about how they did this is now, earlier you saw us slipping this guy into the flat. Now we're blocking here because we're actually reading out here. All right, we're reading out here. He still had the option to give the football. All right, if this guy slips inside, he's going to be reading, he's going to read this backer first and then peek his eyes out here, kind of like he would on double slant. This guy flies over the top with the guard pull. You're going to be able to hit this right in here. I believe this is something Kenny Simpson calls a peak route. Kind of getting the timing in here with this. I would say you want to get in this route pretty quickly, but maybe not necessarily full speed on this route here. But we're reading here. All right, that guy slow plays a little bit. You can give the ball. They even had one where they got out here to the double slant, and this guy started getting a little nosy in here, and he threw this one here as well. Again, not necessarily anything revolutionary, but I really, really liked it. One of my points of emphasis this particular clinic season, and this is on me. Like I said, we had a very good year in 24, went 10-2 this year, took a little step back, and largely I thought we had the opportunity talent-wise to win a few more games than we did. We were 4-6, lost a couple of close ones. And that's on me. I think there's no question that's on me. And one of the things that we did not do well, number one, I think I got enamored with everybody always going for it at the higher levels. I think I kick a field goal in one of the games, we get a victory, and we're in the state playoffs. We ended up losing that game 26-22. We're driving there at the end. We had been inside the 10 earlier and went for it. Didn't kick a field goal. If it's 26-25 there, our kicker had been really reliable. I think we win the game. The other stuff there, we had multiple games where I didn't feel we did a great job finishing inside the red zone. And we've always been big about practicing situationally. I think anytime you get in the red zone, you got to make sure you're making a point of emphasis in your practice scripts of talking about those situations and practicing and repping the heck out of those plays you like in the game plan. Particularly when you get on the goal line. Big gap scheme guy, but there were multiple times GT counter isn't as good. Counter, power is anytime you're pulling anybody on the goal line, you're giving that defense a chance to sneak somebody through. So Brian Nix, extremely successful coach in Tennessee. I believe he was, I was looking at his resume. I think he was the D coordinator for some ridiculous, like 15 state championships. He's been the head coach for the last 4 years and won another few state championships at this incredible program. And you could watch this guy talk ball for 5 minutes and go, wow, this gentleman is really locked in, extremely knowledgeable. Really enjoyed listening to him. But when I was mapping out some of the things I wanted to see clinic-wise, I wanted to make sure I was getting into some red zone and some goal line stuff. And this particular one was some diamond formation, which is not a formation that, to be honest with you, I think of a lot when I think of stuff on the goal line. I like creating, and he talked about some of the advantages and disadvantages. One of the disadvantages is you're not getting that tight end tackle double team against some of those odd fronts, different things like that when you're in this diamond formation. One of the things that was really good is that you kind of create a situation where you don't have to have pulls. And none of these plays I'm going to show you here had pulls, because there were definitely times this last year where we created some gaps and we had a little bit of a run through, particularly on the counter game as we got closer to the goal line. And I wanted to see some stuff we had done the previous year. We had a no pull power play in that we think we probably got to look at getting back in the plan, because like I said, the gap scheme stuff, anytime you're pulling somebody from the backside, you're creating an opening, you're creating a possibility for a run through, which I think is something you don't want to do. Base play they ran out of this diamond formation, just power. Okay, this squad, and they said one of the other things negative here, you got to have some tight end type bodies. All right. Some tight end type bodies. So you're getting your kick here, you're getting your wrap here. Okay, you can do this a number of different ways. You can front side this and head it right downhill, or you can read this on the backside. This extra overhang here, you want to stay tight in here, want to stay what I would always say was inside hip of the second puller. In this case, there is no puller, but this guy's taking the job of the second puller. To me, you want to be inside hip of this. And again, one of the things they did was interesting. They were gap down backer. A lot of times there's people, you get down the goal line. We used to put it at one school I was at, we just put it in the call, and we would just call gap everything. So everybody was blocking down. So play side center, they're all blocking like it's a power. One of the things they did on the backside that was a little bit different is their zone on the backside. So they kind of combined power, any gap scheme type play with zone on the backside, which is a great part about that is you're really not creating any avenues for people to get run-throughs. All right, and believe me, Coach has drawn this up and showing this some of their film. There's some, as you guys know, there's some excellent football being played in many parts of the country, but certainly in Tennessee, some really good-looking football players there. But I liked this option because it didn't create some of those backside issues that we've run into, something we may look at putting in there. Okay, went the wrong way. Going to go here now. Let's go back to the old install here. All right, next one on here. And this is actually a pull. This is one of the few options they showed on this side of pull. And I show this next because it looks very, very similar to the play we just showed you. That no pull power where we got a kick. We got this guy as the wrap. Now we got still opening this way, making it look like we're running that power coming back, and he sticks it foot in the ground. This guy's here, and we're running what a lot of people call that claw counter. Guard's kicking. He ends up here inserting, leading up again. Inside hip of that second puller here. All right, and we are downhill right away. Couple things on the backside hinging here, kicking this here for this six-man look. There were some times we didn't do a good enough job last year. We were trying to pull two from this backside, and we got tackled from the backside. What I liked about this, they're only pulling one from the backside, and they're sending another guy on the backside. So to me, your center is going to be able to get this back block, particularly against these teams that like to stuff the A-gaps there in your goal line scenarios. But you still have two on the backside. So it's limiting the options for those backside run-throughs that can be so problematic as you get closer to the goal line there. All right, moving on to the next one. I am going to show a couple of the runs because I want to save the naked for last because I thought the naked was really, really cool the way they ran it. All right, goal line diamond power, very similar to the first one now, just to the left. Now not reading the backside, pick and hinge in here. All right, we're gap down backer here on the play side. On the backside, we're really zoning here. Again, not really a lot of opportunities for guys to get run-throughs. And if I remember correctly, really tight splits on all these scenarios here. Showed this in multiple short yardage situations. And I'll tell you right now, most of the situations he showed, they were not hitting any huge plays. They even busted this out in midfield on, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. And they were getting about 1-2 yards, but they were picking up first downs. They were moving the chains, and when they were in the goal line, they were converting with this stuff. Get your kick out here. This guy's acting as the wrap guy, all without having to pull anybody from the backside. Thought that was really, really good. Moving on here. This one I loved. This was kind of like a video we did earlier. We talked about veer power read. This was veer power read-esque. All right, with these two guys here, we're going gap down backer. We're zoning the backside. We're reading the first man off the tackle. And I'm showing it here against what you get in a lot of these situations. That six-man line here, we're going to read this guy. He closes. Now quarterback's pulling. He's got this guy coming. He's got this guy coming. He's still got two. All right. Particularly, he gets one block on here. And this was something that was interesting. A lot of times they had, and I'm not sure, I may have missed this. They may have had this guy teaching him something, but it looked like to me a lot of times he bypassed and this guy was here. And then if this guy got that one little half step in, he was trying to beat him to the pylon there. But a goal line diamond power read without the pull. Really, really liked this. Because to be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of veer power read to a three-man surface. I think when you run it to a three-man surface, it messes up. It kind of pushes this guy wide. Like here, I have this kind of drawn a little too wide. I would probably run this a little bit more at the guard here so you can read this guy and really make that guy make a decision. If he stays up the field, get down there. Get dirty. Go get yourself dirty. Knock yourself into the end zone there. All right, last one, and this was my favorite of the stuff he showed here. And like I said, this was going to be a quick video today, but I loved this naked they ran out of this. All right, very similar to some of the stuff they were running earlier. They send the X on a seam route, and this is what I thought was so interesting about this. Hands on the inside seam, automatically the read goes wheel from this tight end to flat. If they don't give hands on to this inside seam, all right, he's not getting pressed. He was off this fake, and he was, boom, trying to bang this in here pretty quick. Most every single example I saw, they got hands on the inside seam. Hands on the inside seam. Quarterback's right out here on the naked. All the linemen have to do is sell this thing, make it look like a run play. They're out here. Like I said, a lot of times you get press coverage here. So obviously if he's getting pressed, that's hands on the inside seam route. Then your read immediately comes over here, wheel to flat, wheel to flat, wheel to flat. Like I said, he showed this a ton of times. I think almost every single time I saw them running wheel to flat, because this route in this situation, tons of times you were getting hands on the inside seam and they were out here wheel to flat completed. This a ton. When that got taken away, this guy was wide open. All right, a lot of good stuff there. And like I said, wanted to get on here. Did not have a guest this week, and wanted to get on here and get a quick 25-30 minute episode, and we were able to do that, talking about some of the stuff we saw in the Glazier Vegas clinic. We will definitely be getting back to getting some guests here in the coming weeks. Spring football is just about upon us. This episode going to get released here in late April. Also, like I said, please subscribe to the show. Lastly, if you want to be on the show, I'm always looking for guests. I love learning from the great coaches all over the country. We've had so many good coaches, so many generous coaches with their knowledge. Would love to have you on the show. If you want to be on the show, please contact me at Cody, CODY.Collett, COLLETT at PrescottSchools.com. We would love to have you on. We had a lot of really good episodes here in the last few weeks that I've been really pumped about. Didn't have a guest this week, so wanted to get something out there. Because like I said, always going to try to get something out there every single Wednesday. If you don't follow us on Twitter, at BG Gridiron Show, please do as well. A lot of good stuff on there. A lot of great coaches on X. I love seeing all the great information posted out there as well. One other thing, and if anybody wants to leave anything on the comments, I'd love to hear it. Thinking about in-season episodes. Not going to be bothering coaches in season. I was thinking about just banging out 10, 15-minute episodes on stuff that is, quite frankly, not a lot of fun. Maybe an episode on a packing list for road games. Maybe an episode on practice scripts, things like that, of that nature in the season. Some of those things that maybe get lost in the shuffle. Maybe even doing an episode on, how you fill out requisition forms or any of that super fun head coach stuff out there. Probably wouldn't get anybody to watch it, but a lot of times a lot of people aren't looking for scheme during the season. Still want to be able to give something out there that's helpful to coaches. So if you have any ideas that way, please let me know, and I would love to hear your thoughts. For now, we will see you next time for another edition of the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show.